Hello everyone. Today I'm going to try to answer one simple question, which is this the right time for you to make your first home purchase? Although the answer to this might seem quite trivial, it is more complicated than it is. Let me try to simplify this question by breaking down the answer into three main parts. There are three factors you need to keep in mind while making your first home purchase. One is your goals. It could be both professional and personal goals. Second, your mental well being. And third, your financial well being. Let's get to each of these points individually. Let's start the discussion with the simplest ones, goals. Goals can be both personal as well as professional that may hinder your plans of buying your first home. To start with, it could be a simple example of you being in a job that requires you to move from city to city frequently. Or it could also be the case that you want to move back to your hometown or a foreign country as well. In such a scenario, I would suggest you to shy away from buying your first home in the city you are currently residing. One could argue that the first home that you purchase could be rented out when you move out of the city. But this might not be the best investment scenario. Let me explain why. The homes that you buy for living and the homes that you buy for renting out are usually not the same. The homes that you rent out are typically the ones with higher rental yields, which are towards at the center of the city, whereas the homes that you live in are a little more away from the center of the city and more in the suburban areas. Hence, it will always make sense to segregate the homes that you want to live in and the homes that you want to rent out, as both of these homes have different use cases. Now, let's look at the financial well being. For the purposes of this discussion, let me illustrate this with an example. Let's take the case of person X. Person X wants to buy a house that is of 1 crore in value, and his net take home salary, including all of his dependents, is 1 lakhs per month. By 1 lakh per month, I mean this is the amount that reaches his bank post taxes. Now let's do the calculation of how much money he needs to save and invest to buy this new home. Rule of thumb says that you should put 20% of the value of your home as down payment. And this is also mandated by most of the banks. So for a house of 1 crore, you would need to pay 20 lakhs in down payment. So for the rest of the 80 lakhs, the bank would typically be more than happy to provide you with a loan. So how does the math for the loan work? For a 80 lakh loan for a period of 30 years at an interest rate of 9% per annum, the EMI comes out to about 65,000 per month. Now let's do this math for Mr. X, who has a family income of 1 lakh per month and an EMI of 65k. This leaves him out with only 35k per month to spend on his homely expenses, which is not the recommended rule of thumb. The recommended rule of thumb is that the maximum amount you are allowed to pay for EMI is 40% of your net take home salary. So in this case, the maximum EMI Mr. X is allowed to pay is 40k. But with this scenario, it is not possible for Mr. X to ever buy this home. Then how can he plan to afford this? There are two ways we can fix this problem. First one is increase your total take home salary per family. How this can be done is by switching into higher paying jobs by each of the family member contributing to the monthly income, right? So what is the income that is required to suffice the 65k EMI? At 40%, the minimum take home salary of the house is roughly about should be about 1.65 lakhs. So if Mr. X manages to have a monthly income of 1.65 lakhs, he can still choose to buy this house provided he has the down payment of 20 lakhs. What is the other way he can buy this house? The other way he can buy this house is by having a down payment of about 60 lakhs. How can he achieve this down payment of 60 lakhs? He can invest in equity related instruments over a long period of time and accumulate this wealth of 60 lakhs, which has to be again adjusted for inflation. And once he has the 60 lakhs, he can take a loan for the rest of the 40 lakhs. And now the loan for the 40 lakhs would be about 32,000, which is less than 40%, which is 40K in his case. Although I explained the math of buying a house for 1 crore of worth, is it really required? The answer to this is quite simple. It's no. In the long run, renting a house versus buying it always makes more sense. Let me explain. The house that is worth 1 crore rupees typically has a rent of around 30,000 rupees at 3% rental yield, right? And the EMI for the same house is about 70,000 rupees. So the difference is almost 2x. The difference of 40K, that is 70 minus 30, invested in equity over long periods of time gives you abundance of wealth enough to buy the same house and stay in this house over the long period of time. This period could vary from house to house, but I would say over a period of 20 years, this will be more beneficial for you to invest difference in equity related instruments. Now, let's look at the final point of this discussion, which is your mental well being. On paper, it is always proved that renting is better than buying the house, right? And we did simple calculations to see the same. However, owning a house has one big advantage, which makes a lot of us buy our own home, which is the stress of not moving from home to home and resetting the home up. It breaks the barriers of you depending on your landlord to evict you from your homes, right? This is the major reason why people end up buying their own homes. If you ask me, I would say for someone who has a portfolio size of 5 crores, investing a crore on a home isn't a bad idea in order to diversify their assets. To conclude this discussion, I would like to say the following. On paper, it doesn't make sense to buy your own homes, and instead, it makes more sense to rent the house and invest the balance in equity related instruments over a long period of time. However, not all of us can live with it, as the mental well being plays an important factor. So, if mental well being is something that is compromised when you stay on rent, I would recommend you to buy your own place. However, in order to do that, make sure you're financially capable of doing the same. Try to follow the math I have provided you and retrace it to your financial situation. Once you have come up with the number, plan your home purchase accordingly. I hope this video helped you gain some knowledge on purchasing your first home. If you like my efforts, please subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it among your friends. Thank you.